Perfect.
That's awkward.
There we go. Now you got like 3 to line up.
You like just laughed at me.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta hit record on mine first.
Welcome back to Blading on the Brain, YouTube. In this episode, I'd like to introduce you to a series known as the RockTown Swapcast. My good friend Brian KRans invited me to come and sit down and unpack with him the story of not only my traumatic brain injury, but that of his own. If you'd like to listen to the entire podcast in one run, please check out bladeordie.com or the RockTown Podcast on iTunes or Stitcher. I hope you really enjoy the laughs of this part 1 and check into the rest of the series here on Blading on the Brain.
Ken, welcome back to the show.
Yay!
This is your I don't know, including Blading Cups.
I think it's just 4th.
Well, no, I did a podcast of Blading Cup. I did a podcast of Oakland Blade Jam, and you were emceeing those. So
that doesn't count.
Your voice was heard in the background a lot.
That doesn't count. Interview-wise, this is the 4th podcast.
This is 4th.
This is the first solo, though. I've always had a co-pilot.
Well, yeah, it's because I invited you in to talk about the unfortunate events surrounding Bill Cosby, and you're like, I'm going to bring cousin Jake.
Because he broke the news to me.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he's the person who told me, and I was like, you're no. Mm-mm. You're full of it. No way. So, naturally.
I got to set this up this way, because remember, we're for people watching or people listening, we're trying to do... You're doing your own thing, and unfortunately,
things at once
involves video. So this is not technically a swap cast, because that's typically what they call them.
What the heck is that?
So if you had a podcast and I had a podcast, like, well, let's just get together, record one show, and then we'll both put up the same episode. We'll just you put your own stuff on the front, and then
we could kind of do that.
That's basically what we're doing, but yours just has video.
Yeah, that's just.
So I got to pay attention. So people on the internet, this is what I look like when I do this.
Yeah, and I'm gonna cut this.
Anyway, so your project,
yes.
You recently launched it. I saw you were. You're doing a vlog series. Tell me about it.
So it's called Blading on the Brain, and it is basically my opportunity to express my love of blading in an alternative way. I haven't ever had to think about another way to express my blading. I had Monk's clothing, but that wasn't really as much an expression of my blading as much like my fashion sense, right? Mm-hmm. And the direction that I thought rollerblading was and should be in. After the injury, I basically had to figure out, well, what do you do if you can't ever skate again?
Ooh, yeah, that's the big fear.
Yeah.
but you're not in that situation right now. Like you.
I mean, physically, I don't think so.
No.
Mentally, I'm not sure. I haven't strapped up yet.
I know you haven't.
I know. You know, I'd call you though. Just so you know.
Oh, if you didn't call me for that, I would not talk to you for a while.
Yeah.
So I know we wanted to talk about it on episode 100, but we got done recording. Like, oh, we don't have time to talk about my injury. I'm like, that's something you and I need to unpack separately.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Blading on the Brain is basically an opportunity for me to express my love of blading, and talk about the injury. And what recovery is about, and the need for safety in our sport,
mm-hmm.
and the need for, more awareness around like traumatic brain injuries as they occur amongst men, like just men in the ages like of 30 to 40, based on sports. It's like it's amazing. I love it. Based on like just like how we do sports and how we like transition from being young men to being older men. We don't do it well.
No,
we don't know how to give up the hope of being pro. Like, we just don't. And so more injuries, traumatic brain injuries, actually happen to men in this stage of our lives.
No. Oh, I didn't know that. I figured it was just, ringing the bell in high school, being stupid.
No.
I picked up a couple concussions in high school.
Yeah, it's like 0 to 13, and then you're pretty dormant, and then it's like 30 to 50, and then once you hit 30 to 50, the majority. But once you hit the like 40-year-old threshold, your chance of recovery like strictly like declines quickly.
Yeah, and as we know, we've always, I think as skaters and just dudes are like, oh, well, my knees can't handle it anymore. It's just weird to be like, oh no, so the thing that functions my breathing and creates my personality, apparently, you got to take care of that one too.
Yeah, it's an important should. Like, that's a should you really should listen to.
Well, Interestingly enough, from my injury, I just got called from a collections agency. I'm still paying that last one.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah, Nevada's real bad. Like as I told this guy from the collection agency, because I was like, do your best to not get unconscious or knocked unconscious in Nevada, California.
Karen asked me like what was different for me about your injury from my own, and I was just like, what happened to Krans seemed even more freakish. Like, I don't know why. But, like, to hear that that's still, like, reoccurring financially sucks. Like, my personal reptilian brain wants to go up there and, like, handle business.
Oh, it's because I'm giving them, like, $30 a month.
Oh, well,
and even now,
affordable.
Now, they're like, oh, well, you owe more on interest than you do on your balance.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, you should be at, like, 7.
No, I'm going to call them and be like, no, I know legally all I have to give you is $1 a month, so I'll do that. And good luck. And for your collection, you're going to pay more to have the collection agency get it from me than what I'm going to give you, unless you kind of just skip the interest because you guys were bad. Well, long story short, word of advice to anyone is if you get a big hospital bill and they're like, do you want to enter into a payment plan? Say no. Because then you're locked into that amount forever, where legally you're not required. You don't have to pay off a hospital bill in 30 days as long as you're making active payments on it. Think of it like your rent. Tell your landlord, like, all right, I'm not going to give you all of it, but I'm going to give you $1 a month, but you can't kick me out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good to know, especially when your injury involves your head and you're not thinking clearly.
Yeah. And so my injury, we're skating Novato. All of a sudden I see Kevin Yee, and I go to do my defense where I go to hug him. Because that's always, when I volunteered with kids, I hug him and pick him up. Like, you're coming, I'm just scooping you up. And then as soon as I grabbed Kevin, I was like, oh, man, I forgot we're the same height. And we headbutted each other, and I was out. And then I remember being in the car. And I remember looking at my face and just being like, I have to take a selfie. Because this is bad.
It is a really good selfie. I took a selfie of you taking the selfie.
Yeah, because it was, my face got scraped off because that's what Novato pavement is. And I remember being in the hospital, and they were asking me questions like, what's your address? And I'm like, I don't know. And then you're like, it's okay. I'll handle all this. And then I remember sitting there, and I was like, things were happening. I'm just kind of just in the hospital gown. And I was like, I'm coming online now.
Wow.
Okay. I'm starting to I'm getting this. But that didn't take that long. But then there's still the residual effects. Like, they didn't like, but hey, heads up, normally like, yeah, you got knocked unconscious. Like, don't go to sleep for the next however many hours.
Seriously. But
then there was nothing after that. No follow-up. Just like, hey, so you knocked your head really hard. Are you seeing a doctor? Do you understand that this can make you more angry? You don't know how to process things, like overstimulation. Like, they didn't cover any of that with me.
You know what's interesting is, like, I feel like, wow. I mean, you shouldn't have to pay for that kind of service. And what's a commercial market right now? Right? Like, we live in a world where, like, service is everything. So, no, you shouldn't have to pay for that kind of poor service. But I also feel like if I didn't have Karen, I would have known none of those things either. And they may have said that to me 1,000 times. But that's not like, you're not ready to process. Like, my coming online was longer than yours, but I felt that every day afterwards. Mm-hmm. They're like, whoa, reboot, it's morning. What? Where am I? Oh, okay. Oh, that's the monitors turning on, the eyes are flickering, you're like, okay, what's going on? But wow. To think that they didn't provide you with, like, I mean, that was what was crucial for my recovery. Was once I came online, and that was weeks later, I was like, what? Okay, why did I act that way? Or why is it that I can't censor myself? Like, what? I just say the first thing that comes out of my mind, like, no matter what. Like, oops, I should have thought about that. Shouldn't have said it that way. Or
yeah, and like when the big thing, you're talking about rebooting and everything like that, and like it's kind of weird when you hit your head. You hit your, like, I guess for me, I figured out you like what your core personality is, or like you have an immediate, you're just in fight or flight. So like whatever situation you're in, especially hey, Brian, you just hit your head. You don't fully understand it. I remember you telling me the story of the nurse that told me, she's like, oh, you need to take your clothes off. Fill me in on the blanks on that one because I was offline
it's a
for that.
One. So yeah, we can help recount each other's stories. So like we got to the hospital, I handled all your paperwork. while I was doing the intake, they took you off to the room. And I don't know, it wasn't Kaiser, so it wasn't like standard, like this is your boyfriend, maybe he beat you protocol where they like take you aside to ask you like questions, personal questions. They just like were like expediting, like they were trying to get you in. And so in that process, she was like, you're going to have to take your clothes off to get into a gown. And by the time, like literally I was like finishing, and by the time I was like shuffled right behind you guys, you were already fully disrobed and ready to go. And they were like, oh. Just like.
I wasn't fully naked though.
No.
Right? Yeah, because the
no,
idea
you
of
had
being...
to. I think you had to go all the way. No, you might have had underwear on, because you can have underwear on when you're just doing general.
Well, it's that default. So if you ever see me standing someplace completely naked, that's when you know something's very,
Really
very
scary.
wrong. Because I'll at least be like, I'm in my boxers, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and my memory is no good, so I can't help on that end. But I'm pretty sure you were like within a minute, like out of your pants, out of your shirt. Like, and I was like, out of your shoes. I was like, how the heck does a human even do that fast? Like, period. Like, so regardless of whether your chonies were on,
I think I was wearing skinny jeans too, so you gotta
really
like
quick.
peel.
You were about it. You were just like, let's go. Like,
I'm in Nevado's warm sometime, quite often.
I'm sure it's really sweaty. It's a beautiful, sweaty, sandy park.
And that was the worst part about my accident, was like anytime, one, if it's a really crowded skate park, even if it's a session of all bladers, especially because I crashed into a blader, I will sit down. I will be like, I like rollerblading, but not this much. I don't want to, because it's always like the same thing. Like when I had Kevin, like Kevin had problems too. He didn't have to go to the hospital, but he definitely, like he said, his balance was off and that kind of stuff. I go, yo, I don't want to do that to a friend.
Man, it's like in retrospect, when, like I didn't have any of the awareness then of the idea of severe head trauma that I do now. And when Karen, I think, posed the question to me of like what was different, for me, I assumed it was, why were my actions not changed as a causal and effect, right? Like I saw your incident, I should have been wearing a helmet from that day forward. Why did I not make that decision? And for me, that's what I read into it. And so my answer was that was so rare. Like you never see anything like that before. Like I remember just watching it and then hearing it. Oh, I think the peacocks are breaking into cars over here.
Yeah, that's
pretty awesome. Go Peacocks, get it.
I could soundproof this someday, but like I want, you could. Well, how Oakland are we? We got peacocks, we got car alarms, we got ice cream trucks in the back. I'm sorry.
Hey YouTube, I hope you enjoyed part 1 of our Swapcast with the RockTown Podcast. In today's episode, we talked all about unpacking the joy and struggle in recovering from a traumatic brain injury. Please check us tomorrow for part 2, where we talk about what it's like to come home. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Once again, thank you to Uranus for the track Money Train. You can check them out at soundcloud.com. Please get ready for episode 2 coming at you tomorrow. Thank you.